everybody. This is Mind Your Money with MissBeHelpful, a show that highlights people and stories that will inspire you to get your money right. And today I have a financial hype woman on the show, the financial hype woman, because ain't nobody else calling themselves that. So welcome to the show, Berna. What's up, girl?
Thank you so much, Anneli. I love your new show. I love being a guest on it. I love being a hype woman, making up stuff like that. So super honored. Thank you for having me.
Well, I had to have you on, girl, because after you came up with this amazing idea to do Hella Helpful, which was a series of free workshops for folks who are people of color, low income, or identify as first gen, I jumped on there because I was like, yo, I needed this back in the day. Let me get involved in this. But like after the sense of community, like the realness, the rawness, I was like, I got to keep having these more of these conversations. And so I came up with the Mind Your Money thing. And I'm just like so inspired by what you put together. We're definitely going to talk about that. I want everybody to hear all about that, but we'll get to it in a little bit. First, for anybody who has never heard of the financial hype woman herself, Berna, who is all over the interwebs as @HeyBerna. Berna, tell them a little bit about yourself and what your platform's all about.
Yes. So like Anneli said, I am Berna Anat. I am a financial hype woman. I'll explain what that means in a little bit. I made that name up entirely myself. I barely know what it means. I am first gen Filipina-American daughter of an immigrant. Both of my parents were born in the Philippines, came here as immigrants. I was born and raised here in the San Francisco Bay Area. Mm-hmm. And I, as a financial hype woman, I create content just like Anneli around money, educating people about money, how it works in a way that hopefully isn't terribly boring. And I really try to lean into the humor side of money. I guess they call it like edutainment. I think they call us like influencers now. Finfluencer is a thing.
I like it. Yep.
So we are influencers. We're edutainers. I really, as you can tell, I try to be really playful with the way that I teach about money. And I can go a little bit into like my money journey if you want me to, or should I stop there and
let's pause there and we'll come to your money journey later. I want to start with some spicy questions because I feel like the very beginning is a great time to just jump into, you know, what your regrets are, what are things that you're happy about that you've done with money. So I'm gonna start with the regrets first. What is the biggest, most expensive purchase that you made in your life that you regret to this very day? You wish you could just go back in time and erase it, take it back, never happened. What would that be?
Let me show you. Can I show you?
Yeah.
It's my Dell computer.
Ooh,
hello.
Hey, Dell. Hey.
Hey, Dell. Don't say hi to Dell. Dell's on timeout right now. Dell's been on timeout for years. I regret so badly buying my Dell computer because it was like right when I quit my job, and this is going to be part of my money journey. I'll talk about it later, but quit my job, got ready to travel the world with my partner, just became debt free.
Yeah. And
I was like, I want to continue to make videos. I continue to edit videos. I had to give my like work Mac laptop back. Mm-hmm. And then of course my partner was like, oh, you know, he's like hardcore Android PC. It's like same story you hear from all the PC Android people being like, you Mac heads are like throwing all your money away. You get the same specs for $1,000 less, blah, 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 blah.
Yep.
And I was like, okay, like I just started my personal finance journey. I love cheap things. Like I want bang for my buck.
You also trust your boo. You're like, it's okay. But I know what he's talking about. Right.
Exactly. And he's right for so many of these things. And like he loves his Dell. And I was like, I'm about to be about that life too. So I could be on the sidelines too and be like, all you Mac heads are so down. Blah, blah, blah. False. 3 years later, false. I have so many problems with my Dell all the time. And it just comes down to like usability. We don't have to get into this debate, but like I love the Mac universe and the Apple universe. It makes it easy for me. And as a video creator, it's just better to have.
Yes.
But this was a situation where like my desire to be budgety and good value clashed with what I actually need as a creator.
Right.
And every day I'm like, I would pay $1,000 more a month just to have a better computer.
Damn, I was like, whoa, a month.
Like all the stress that this computer has given me is not
man.
equal to the amount of money that I saved for the computer. So I regret it. And I'm going to be upgrading real soon.
Dang, girl, that's crazy. You know that it's funny because now it makes me think like I'm going back in like to this black hole of like all of my computers that I've had, and it's funny because I remember it doesn't even have a real name. The brand of the type of laptop that I first had my freshman year in college, I'm pretty sure it cost like $300. My brother bought it for me because I was desperate for one, and I remember I dropped it one time. Like, oh my goodness, it was the worst. And so my sophomore year in college, I think I just had it. And I was like, F this, like I'm going to the Mac store, I'm going to Apple store. And so I didn't have enough money and I financed my laptop on an Apple credit card. I opened the credit card right there in the Apple store to buy the laptop, and it was like $1,800. And I just every month was sending like $100, like every month. And that laptop, as crazy as that sounds, literally it's like a student loan, as crazy as it sounds, like I feel like for me it was worth it because I used that computer for 3 years of college, 2 years of my master's. I had it for like almost 8 years before that thing was like, all right, bitch, I'm done. Like I can't do no more. And then at that point I was grown and I had paid off my debt. So I bought a full new one for like $2,400, which is crazy that I'm throwing out these numbers as if like, oh yeah, just $2,400.
Like that.
Like, but the crazy thing is, even now, when the Mac that I have now that I paid $2,400 for, that sounds crazy, but like, I think it's worth it. Like I use it for all of my videos. I use it for all of my video calls. I use it for editing stuff for YouTube. I use it for social media. Like I use it for everything. And I just can't imagine. Oh my goodness. I couldn't imagine being unsatisfied with my laptop. So girl, I feel for you. I feel for you.
Regret.
In my heart.
Daily regret. Like every time I touch it, I call it the Dell hole. Don't tell him I said that.
The Dell hole. Oh no.
The Dell hole. I call it the Dell hole. I'm like every day I'm in the Dell hole. Just like I touch my computer, I'm like, you again. But
it's what? That's probably why she's acting up. She's probably acting up because you're being mean to her. Give her some TLC, Berna.
That is what my partner says too. I'm like, sometimes I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm so mean to you. You've actually given me so much. Like you're really stuck with me. You didn't get stolen when I was abroad for a year because nobody wants a Dell. That was part of the appeal too. I was like, no one's gonna steal this thing.
Nobody wants this thing.
Nobody wants it. But there is really something to be said about the things that you invest in and how close they are to your creative life, your business life. Like if I was not an internet creator, I'd be like, Dell it up. I just need Microsoft Word. Who cares?
Exactly.
But you got to know where your money matters, basically, and like what investments are important to you. Then I could be cheap on everything else.
Yep.
I'm looking at her like, don't look at me like that.
I'm talking about you, girl.
I feel the hate.
Man. All right, girl. What about the flip side of that scenario? A time where you made a big purchase, but it was worth it. Like to this day, you're like, no, man, I stand by that purchase because it was worth it for me. I don't care if other people think I'm buck wild for spending all that money. It worked for me, and it's still something that I'm proud that I bought.
Yes, I would say the thing that keeps coming up, especially, folks at our age, people are getting married and dropping a ton of money on weddings. I mean, not so much these days, but like the amount of money that people are spending on weddings. And like, you know what? That is at the end of the day, that's a personal decision.
Yeah.
And if that's where you want to put your money, that's fine. But it always makes you think of the fact that like, I think of the budget and what my partner and I spent when we quit our jobs and we traveled for 10 months. We traveled for, nearly a year. And we spent the entire year abroad. We quit our jobs, and the thing is, we front loaded the entire budget with cash first. So we didn't use any credit, no loans or any kind of debt coming out of that. We front loaded it with cash. And so it was a long time of saving up money in a high yield savings account and just watching that number tick up and up and up. It was like, I knew that I was going to spend it in the future. So it was like spending it, putting in a savings. I was like, all that money that I can't touch right now because I'm saving it for this giant goal. And then that year we just like spent, I put it on credit and paid off my credit card and just like spent cash the entire time.
Yeah.
I think it totaled up to, I want to say like $32,000 or $33,000 total for the year. Okay.
For both of you guys to travel for a full year. Wow. That's amazing.
For both of us to travel for a full year, which is like, when you put it in the context of travel, we didn't spend very much.
Yeah, exactly.
In the context of like, for example, I'm not going to name names, but I know somebody very close to me who dropped like $60,000 on their wedding. It's a 4-hour party. That's a 4-hour party.
I know.
And so when people are like, wow, you spend so much money abroad, like all that money you spent abroad, I'm like, to this day, we are still reliving the memories. Like we have not even, 10 straight months of travel. Like it's going to take us like decades to really process what happened and all the memories that come back, the stories, the people we met, the food we ate, like completely invaluable, invaluable. And so again, no shade for everyone who's not only paid for a wedding and is suffering right now because of COVID, but like have paid a lot for a wedding. Yeah. It's all about your priorities. But like I would drop another $30K on a year of travel.
Oof. Girl, I'm with you. I'm so with you. You know, it's funny because I have to learn that more and more every day. I have to keep reminding myself, keep reteaching myself to stop the judging because I'm just like you. Like I would drop 30, 40, 50, 60K in a year to travel. To me, totally worth it. Love it. Would do it in a heartbeat. And every chance I get to travel, I do. Like my boyfriend and I, we every time we get a chance to take a full month off and just go somewhere, we do. We've done it like 3 times already. And it feels amazing. But then I'm like that person who just doesn't value things that like traditionally society maybe values. Like my boyfriend and I have been together for so long. Everybody keep asking about a wedding. I'm like, oh, wedding, honey. How much? Like, first of all, and you know what it is? Also a cultural thing because like in Dominican culture, and I'm sure you could relate to this too. Like, girl, they expect you to invite everybody and their mama and the cousins and the babies and the grandpas and the uncles and the aunties, and it's like, you know, just my siblings, I have 8 siblings, plus my mom and dad, plus the nieces and nephews and the sibling spouses. That alone is like a regular American wedding, let alone my boyfriend's family, and then the extended family. Like we are about to drop a good 100K if we're going to have the kind of wedding that my family expects us to have. And I'm like, not chill.
Exactly. There's so much of that in the Filipino culture too. It's like, and I'm hearing all of my friends go through it in the last 5 years of when planning a wedding. It's like not only first of all, the wedding is for the family in our culture very much. Like it's not about the couple at all. It's about what the family wants. Never about the couple. And then because it's what the family wants, and if it's a flashy enough wedding, grandma's going to want to invite her friends over here because they want to show up.
The whole church has to come.
The whole church community has to come. And it's like, are you paying for the upgraded bows on the seats? Are you paying for the a la carte menu? Whatever, like all that.
Exactly.
But again, it's priorities though, because some of the smartest and most wonderful people in my life have chosen to drop X amount of money on a wedding
100%.
because they wanted that, because they value the desire from their family about that. It's all about perspective.
That's so true. Just talking to so many different women. So far, I've only done episodes with women for Mind Your Money. And even just talking to the women that I've talked to so far, some of them have said, like, I dropped a bunch of money on my wedding and I don't regret it because similarly to your answer about travel, they're like, I'm never going to forget it. I have flashbacks to that day. Every single moment that I'm thinking, I have a moment free. It was everything to me. I had everyone that I love there. And I can see that and I can understand it. I just don't feel that way personally, but like I get it. And so it's so true what you keep saying about like it's about your personal priorities. Do you feel that that is the way that your heart desires to spend your dollars? And if it is, do it. If not, don't do it. That's it. It's that simple.
Exactly. And then it requires a little bit of soul searching for sure. But I always think of like if the roles were reversed, for example, like somebody that I know who dropped 60K on their wedding, if somebody went to them and was like, you have to go drop 30K on a year of travel, they'd be like, a year of travel? I don't want to be gone that long. I don't even like traveling that much. I don't want to go to those countries. It's like, if we put ourselves in each other's shoes, we would both be unhappy.
That's right.
It's completely about what you desire and the price tag that you put on that. And it is really difficult for us to not judge each other for it, especially when like money is money. And like I look at a wedding and I'm like, you could have traveled the world for 2 years.
That's right.
More than that.
More for 5 years with that much money.
For 5 years. Exactly. But then they would have been totally unhappy doing that if I had like copy pasted my priorities onto them. So
that's right. It's such a thing too, like the wedding industry. There's just, to me, I think it's this concept that it's the principle of it. It's like, if you go to get a DJ for a regular ass party, you're going to pay what, $300 for that DJ. But if you say, I need that same DJ to play those same songs, but it's not a regular party, it's a wedding. Oh, all of a sudden it's $1,000 for that same musical set for the same amount of time. I'm like, wait, what? I can't.
Because
I can't
you
get
said wedding.
I can't get with that. I think that's what bothers me about the wedding industry is that the fact that it gets marked up so much. But maybe one day I'll get over it. We shall see.
Exactly. Well, they know that it's an industry and they know that there's a market, so they can. Like one of my best friends in the world, she dropped a bunch of money on her wedding. She's the most frugal person I've ever met in my entire life. And she's like, well, if I want to use my own DJ at this all-inclusive resort, I have to pay an $800 fee on top of hiring her own DJ. It's a fee because you don't want to use their DJ.
Oh, so gross. That's how they get you to do what they want you to do and pay them.
Exactly. I don't know. I'm in the same boat with you.
It makes
exactly. I'm like,
it's just
give me a plane ticket.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
All right, girl. Well, you kind of alluded to this a little bit with like Filipino families are similar to Dominican families in terms of these big weddings and like this is what they expect of you. Tell us a little bit more about what it was like to be first gen in a Filipino family in Cali growing up, and maybe not having access to everything that all the wealthy people's got, but like maybe exposure to some early lessons about money or conversations about money. What was that like growing up in your house?
For sure. It's funny because all the lessons that I've learned and the things that, of course, as financial educators, we've thought about all happened way after the fact, way after it happened. Because like so many of us who are in an immigrant family, first gen household, we did not talk about money. No one in my family came from money, very lower middle class. No one's financial in my family. I didn't come from an accountant or anything like that. My dad is a retired mail carrier. My mom works customer service in the airport. And all the money lessons I learned, I didn't realize it until I became an adult and looked back. And when I talk about money with other Filipino-American communities and audiences, I talk about something that I call the frugal flex theory. And it's something that I've only really workshopped because of my like Filipino-American experience. But when I talk about it outside, other communities are like us too. It's like you get to adulthood and you're like, why am I so confused about money? Like I feel fear around money, but I also want to spend it up. I don't have very much money, but when I get it, I let it go. Like, why am I so messed up about money? And I think it's because we were given so many mixed signals growing up, especially if you're in a household with an immigrant who is like searching for the American dream. And so I call it the frugal flex theory because it's a spectrum. Either your family was it was like a frugal day for your family or it was a flex day for your family. And there was never any consistency and you always run back and forth in between.
Yes.
So like flex being, I need to buy this Louis Vuitton bag with a bonus that I got from work and then I need to put it on Facebook. And you're like, wait, why do you have a Louis Vuitton bag? I'm pretty sure you earn minimum wage. That's confusing. And then frugal theory. We are going to bring a Tupperware full of food to the movie theater. I'm not going to buy you those shoes. I'm going to buy it for you when I go out to the Philippines. They're much cheaper, even though they're imitation. Like, do you got McDonald's money? There's rice at home. Like, it's all the different messages that go back and forth. And so you add that all up and it makes like a first gen adult who is confused as hell. And so that just sort of helps shed light on like, a lot of us didn't grow up with one money message. We grew up with a really confusing one. And I think also like further into that theory that a lot of our families were sort of mixed up in that way because they weren't making the money that they should have been making. We all lived so close to the poverty line, like under middle class. But every dollar that we got went towards signaling the American dream. I got this bag. Yes. I got this bag. I got to let people know. Oh, I bought a second and I bought a third house. Yep. You don't need to know that it's refinanced like to the max. And that I have to 800 times. And like 2008 comes and I have to file bankruptcy. It doesn't matter. I got 3 houses and I got this cute car and look at my Louis Vuitton. And so it's a working theory still, but it's something that when I say it out loud to other people of color, specifically, they're like, haha.
Yeah, it's so true because what it is you're trying so hard to assimilate so that you feel like you belong. Because when you like, for especially this, I think is especially true for immigrants that have a language barrier. Like if you come from a country, you're an immigrant from a country that also speaks English. I feel like it's less pervasive for you. Not that you don't have, discrimination that you deal with as well, but I feel like it's way more pervasive for folks that come from a country where their native language is not English, because then it's very clear, especially if you have a thick accent, that you are other, that you are not American in the way that, American is defined for a lot of people. And so I feel like that is what exacerbates it. Like my mom, when we were little, she was always telling us to, to speak English because she wanted us to learn English, because if we speak with a thick accent in Spanish, they're going to put us in English as a second language program, or they're going to put us, in a slower class, or she didn't want us to have a stigma attached to the way that we talk. So for me, it's funny because when I talk to my mom, like I go into this thick accent because that's how she talks, but I don't talk like that normally. It's just that I want to make sure she knows like I'm still her baby and we talk this way together, but I don't really have a thick accent. I mean, people say I have a New York accent, but I don't have like a Spanish accent necessarily. But yeah, I think it's just because all those things that we're trying actively to do to assimilate, and that involves getting the house with the white picket fence, getting the car, getting the whatever things, and I definitely feel like that resonates for me at least, because I was always trying so hard to have the brand names that my friends at school had, even though I know dang well my dad and my mom cannot afford it. We don't got it, but it was embarrassing to come to school with Payless all the time. And so I would try really hard to get Nikes or get Pumas for Christmas or whatever, just so I could have something to make me feel like I fit in. So, I mean, that's probably where it's coming from, is that desire to fit in, that desire to assimilate so bad.
Yeah, of course. And because we're so taught not to talk about money as well, like in my household, money was not talked about ever. We didn't know how much the bills were. We just knew that we were broke sometimes, but then sometimes we flexed. So that's confusing. But mostly we're broke. And so I was like, okay, mixed signals, mixed signals.
Yes.
And then, but we don't talk about money. We don't talk about how it flows in, how it flows out. We don't talk about, we definitely never talked about how to prioritize it. And so as an adult, we have to come back and figure that out ourselves, and then look back and go, and this is something that I'm still working on in my sort of like, colonial mentality, money mind, but like look back and think like our families were doing the best that they could with what they had. And their desire to assimilate was stronger than the desire, or even the research that they had to teach us about money. Like, we don't talk about money, so it's not like we're like wearing our money situation on our sleeves. What you see is on Facebook. What you see is my car and my house. And so that took priority. And it was easier to just stuff all the money problems down. And again, all that equals confused ass first gen adult being like, what? I don't know.
And you know what else? What is crazy too is because you're trying to balance two things, because you're trying to assimilate while you're here, but then never mind, you still got your family back home. And like for me, I know that was a big thing for us. I don't know how often you went back to the Philippines, but I used to go back like every few summers. Like my parents couldn't afford to fly back to DR every summer, but I would, one of us would go every few summers. And that's when I feel like the flex really came out, because we came from the United States. We're from New York. I mean, in Dominican Republic, it's like, oh, they're Nueva York. And they think that means that you're rich. So when you get there, it's like, oh, you got to give everybody cash, and you have to give them clothes and shoes. And it's like, but we don't even got that, but we have to pretend, because we came all the way from Nueva York, and we have to, maintain that image that is expected from our cousins and families that are, still there, that maybe are less fortunate because they weren't able to come to the US and immigrate like us. But that doesn't mean we got it like that either. So it's that tension too.
Exactly. That 100% shows up with Filipino families, like especially ones that have immigrated to the US specifically, because same in the Philippine community. United States equals dollars. Dollars equals you're rich. Donald Trump. Everybody that owns a business. Everyone's in a mansion. And so I went to the Philippines a couple of times growing up, but my parents were very much like yours, where they were like, you're not going to learn Tagalog at all. Tagalog is the Filipino language, the language of the Philippines. You're not going to learn Tagalog because we don't want you to have an accent. We went to the Philippines sometime, but I'm noticing now that with my mom and my mom's generation, her and her siblings, they all immigrated to the US, and whenever they go back, it's the same exact thing. They are literally walking ATMs, and they are expected to ball out, and they're expected to bring cash, and they're expected to pay for everything the entire week they're there, and like put up that front wall. I know, I'm like, it's pesos, okay? I know it's Filipino pesos. Like, our dollar was a long way. It doesn't go that long of a way. Like, what are you doing? But they feel an obligation to show out, because if they can't, then what did they leave their homeland for? You know what I mean? Then like, what was all that struggle for? What was all that abandonment for? They have to show. I feel like if I were to interview my mom, I'm sure she would say that there's a guilt. There's a feeling of responsibility of giving back. Anyone in the Filipino community knows about balikbayan boxes, the big ass boxes that we fill with like, what is it? Irish Spring soap, and Bath and Body Works, and whatever shampoo, brand names that people, they literally, it's like we're like a catalog, and they order from us, and we send it over. And then when you're physically there, you're the human catalog and a human ATM, and you're expected to just like, it's very strange.
It's so strange. Oh my goodness. It's so interesting to me how much of everything that we talk about is the same, because we also have the big boxes. My mom spends like $200-$300 every month, even though she don't got it. She will find it. Send these giant boxes to the DR full of anything and everything that, it's crazy. Like I'll see her putting like winter coats and winter boots. I'm like, Mom, you're sending this to a tropical Caribbean island. She's like, but they need it. They need it. I'm like, they don't need a winter coat and winter boots. It's a tropical Caribbean island. No.
They don't need Tim's, Mom. They don't need Tim's.
What are you doing? She's just like, no, they need it. I'm like, oh my goodness.
That's what it is. Yeah. And same with like our stuff, like being in the privileged position of being the first gen children who were raised in America, raised with a dollar. Everything was like, don't throw anything away. We can donate to the Philippines. You don't want that anymore. You're ungrateful. I'm giving it to your cousins in the Philippines. Like, what? The trippy feeling of finally going to the Philippines as like a conscious teenager, like seeing my cousins wear our stuff.
That
like,
really happened to me too. Yeah.
Right? And they're super curious. They're like, "What's in your bag? Is that a cell phone?" I remember being like 11 and being like,
Why you all up in my
I feel like yeah, exactly.
Yes.
I barely speak the color, so I'm like very confused.
You're like a scientific,
Such a
like,
difference.
specimen. They're, like, observing you, looking at all the specs. Yeah. No,
Ooh.
I definitely I hear
Yes.
that a ton. And I think it has a lot to do with the way that you I mean, and me too, but, like, I think you deliver the financial information that you share in such a way that is, like, against everything that anybody could imagine financial workshops would be like, or financial,
Mm.
information would sound like. And I think it comes from that. It comes from the fact that we had to learn it in this weird hodgepodge way, and like through this just figuring it out. And now we want to make sure to make it loud and make it known that, like, hey, we figured this out, but now because we figured it out in our own way, we have to help other people. We have to pave the way for other people to figure it out in a way that works for us, and not the way that we were supposed to learn it, because that didn't work for us. That probably is not going to work for a lot of people.
Mhm.
Which is why I
Yeah.
love what you're doing. I love your content. I think obviously I'm not the only one that loves it, because you got mad followers. So your claim to, like, being a finfluencer, to having finfluencer fame on Instagram, was really paying off all your student loan debt, and like you said, traveling with your boo, and just really being able to set everything aside and go do that. So how the hell do you do that? How do you just smash a whole bunch, like tens of thousands of dollars of student loan debt, and have a fat stacked savings account to be able to go spend cash traveling? Like, how long did it take you? What were the strategies that you used to be able to set your life up that way? Tell us all the
Yeah.
juice.
Yes, of course, of course. For the timeline for me was probably a total of about like 3.5, 4 years
Okay.
from when I started to go like, what is budgeting? How does this make sense? And I guess I'm
Mhm.
gonna try to be strategic in the way that these Dave Ramsey and the Tim Ferrissy, Tony
Yeah.
Robbinsy way people are trying to tell me. Until I was like, it's time for me to quit my job. I always have to acknowledge, though, the different privileges that I was sitting on top of
Yeah.
when I paid off my student loans, of course. So, for example, right before I started getting really aggressive paying off my student loans, I was a freelancer in New York City, which, like, freelancer in New York City means broke. Duh,
Yeah, for
always,
sure.
all the time.
For sure.
Super broke. And it was like, I remember I was like cashing out like savings bonds I had when I was a baby to pay rent. And it was like all this
Oh,
stuff. Like,
the
very,
struggle.
the struggle, and everybody has those struggle years, and you never forget them. And then I got an offer to work for back home in San Francisco for a tech company. And I was like, and it's pretty good money, but it was also like, oh my God, a paycheck is going to come every 2 weeks. Like, it's been years since like that was available to me.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is a moment. I was like, God is telling me, God, goddess, higher powers are telling me, this is the moment to get your life together, like your financial life together.
Mhm.
Because before, being a freelancer was my excuse to be like, I'm a mess. Like my paychecks come kind of whenever. And
Oh,
so
you hid behind
how
that
am I supposed
veil,
to create a
huh?
system? 100%. I was
Mm.
like, how am I supposed to create a system and a budget out of something that's so irregular? And I'm just like, fuck all, like I'm crazy because this system's crazy and my system's crazy and I have an excuse.
Right.
And so now getting this job, getting this full-time job, I was like, I no longer have an excuse. I
Mm.
get an IV drip of money every other Friday. And I get a reset chance to look at my money on like a regular schedule.
Yep.
That is something that I should take advantage of. So one giant privilege is that I got a full time job that paid me pretty good,
Yeah.
and when I came back to the Bay Area, I spent a year being like, la la, I'm in the tech world, I'm spending money, but then I
Mhm.
realized I was never gonna
Gonna
pay off my
see
student
any
loans in
of
that
it.
way.
Yep.
I'm just gonna, it's all gonna come right out of my pockets the same exact way that it was coming out of New York. And so another privilege that was huge to me, but I couldn't have gotten my student loan payments over as quickly, is that I have a loving and wonderful family in San Francisco Bay Area who, of course, in their Filipino way, were like, "Why are you being dumb? Why are you honestly in an apartment in San Francisco? Like, what's wrong with you?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Independence, I can afford
Mhm.
it."
I'm a grown
And they
woman.
were like, "You're an idiot." Exactly. So I was able to go live with my family. I still paid rent, but it was definitely not San Francisco
Right.
market rent.
Right.
And then having to do a lot of sacrifice. Like in that way, it's a privilege and a sacrifice. I
Mhm.
sacrifice my independence and that sort of like adult feeling, especially that first gen, like I broke out of my parents' house kind of
Yes.
feeling. Had to sacrifice that, sacrifice a lot of transportation. So like not having a car, like sacrificing Ubers and all that stuff,
Mhm.
got everywhere the public transportation. And then when it's actually right around when I met my partner Peter,
Yeah.
about 4 years ago, that's when I was really getting into the like, I think I'm gonna start to get serious about my money need to get serious about budgeting. And he was like, me too. And so we sort of joined forces and together started to like use each other as a support and an excuse to sacrifice financially all the time. And so it was like the two of us had concocted this plan that sometime in the future, we're going to save up enough to not just pay off our student loans, but to fuck off and quit life and both like have a dramatic exit, quitting our jobs. And so having that plan with someone else was a huge boost, a huge privilege, and like a huge tool that other folks should use too. Because every time I was faced with Vegas this weekend, Coachella, want to go move into this apartment? Do you want your independence back? I was like, no, no. I'm going to keep like living under my lovely parents' roof for very little money. Yeah. I'm going to keep squishing into this room with my partner because I have a bigger goal in mind. Yeah. And so anyway, long story short being there are a lot of privileges I was sitting on top of. That fact that I was able to get a higher paying job, which is the fastest way anyone's going to be able to pay off their student loans.
100%.
Paid more.
Get more money. That's right.
Get more money is the damn truth. Big sacrifices that some people would see as sacrifice, but you would also see as like gratitude and privilege at the same time. And freaking discipline. But the discipline, it wasn't so much like every day I'm beating myself over the head with this thing. It was like, you know what's sexier than like your Coachella weekend? Traveling for a year and quitting my job. Like I have a sexier goal. Yes. It's sexier to me than anything you can offer to me. And I'm going to keep holding it over my head until I got there.
Ooh, that is good.
It was right.
That is good.
It was sexy.
I love that you equate discipline to a constant reminder of what's motivating you, because I feel like they go hand in hand so much, but people don't usually say that. People are just like, well, how do you, discipline is what, self-control, being able to say no. Actually, it's being able to say yes to that year of travel. Like you constantly have to remind yourself what you're saying yes to every time you're saying no to these little things. Like, yeah, okay, I'm going to say no to this mani-pedi right now and to this brunch next weekend. But what I'm getting in return is so much better than both of those things combined. And I mean, if you truly do feel that it is better, then it should be easy to have the quote unquote discipline and motivation. But if you're not motivated by the thing that you decided you want so bad, then it's not going to work. You need to have something you want that freaking bad. And you and your boyfriend did. You guys had that thing that you wanted so bad. And together it's even easier because, as we know, we talked about how helpful that when you save with other people, you're way more likely to be effective to actually save. So it makes a lot of sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's also knowing myself, like I clearly, like the fact that I'm a financial hype woman, I'm a child. Like I'm always going to be like 17 years old on the inside. And I'm not motivated by discipline. I'm not motivated by punishment. I'm not motivated by self-control and tightness and dieting and like, whoa. I'm motivated by fun and play and excitement. And so if you know what motivates you, it's the discipline and the self-control will come with it naturally. But what makes me sad is when people beat themselves up about not being disciplined enough or not having enough self-control. I'm just not focused. I'm just not good at money. That's why I'm not good at money, because I'm just not good at it. It's most of the time it's that you haven't figured out what you care more about than the bullshit. Like you haven't figured out the thing that, or if you figured it out, you're not holding it up above your head clearly enough, because once you point out what you like and you hold it above, like all that stuff will come flowing naturally, because the enjoyable fun thing is more powerful than anything else.
So true. I mean, you could see it in so many different analogies. There's so many different examples you talked about being a kid, right? Like, I mean, I was just babysitting my nephews the other day and they are a handful. They're twin boys. They're 5 years old. They're a lot to handle. But when I said, what do you guys want to do? They said they want to go outside and they want to run and play. I'm like, okay, fine. If you want to do that, first we have to do this. How, like, the fact that they were driven by wanting to go outside. And I kept reminding them, we're about to go outside. You better, clean up your toys, because you're not, if you don't clean up your toys, you're not going outside. And that was enough, just constantly holding that over their head like a little carrot to get them to do all the things that their mom says, like, oh, they never do that. And for me, I'm like, well, you have to keep reminding them of the thing they said they wanted. And it's just so true. It's not just kids too. I mean, I don't necessarily abide by all the like relationship advice about controlling your partner. I think you should let your partner do what they want. But some people do believe that if you motivate your partner enough, they will do what you want them to do, because you're thinking that we go, oh, you want that? Well, this is what you got to do, right? And it sounds manipulative, but I think the point is that you can get people who typically wouldn't normally want to do certain things to do it because of a larger motivating factor. And so you got to find that thing that's actually going to motivate you, that motivating factor that's actually going to make you want to get up off your butt and look at your budget and put Berna's money playlist on Spotify while you work and actually just do it. Like, do it, get it done.
Exactly, exactly. And it's so interesting. I've been thinking so much over the past year about how like we are mammals. Like we are trainable, literally. Like yes, we're complex. Yes, we create amazing things that's like never before seen, but also we are so easily motivated by pleasure,
Yes,
by simple things,
yes.
by the things that we like. And it's amazing again like it makes me so sad to hear people say like I just don't have it.
Mhm.
It's just that your carrot is not big enough
Yes.
and your carrot's not you enough. Or maybe you're chasing somebody else's carrot.
Maybe you don't
Maybe you
like
really don't
carrots.
care about the
Maybe
thing that
you
you're
hate
trying to go for.
carrots. Maybe
Maybe you like carrots.
you want something else and you're looking at a carrot and of course not going to motivate you because you want something else. Yeah.
You want something else and you are trainable is like the sort of scary, weird thing. Like
Yeah.
I was able to train myself with the idea of freedom, like
Yes.
job freedom, pleasure, travel, food abroad. That to me was my like, okay, like that really lit up the 5-year-old in me. That made me go, all right, fine, I'll do whatever you want. Just like
That's right.
let me have the thing eventually. I think that never goes away.
Right.
Like your inner child and your very basic caveman desire to get the thing that you want.
Yes.
It's just we are so inundated, especially with things like social media, other people's goals. We're trained to want a certain thing or for our goals to look a certain way.
Yes.
When it's like I'm always trying to tell myself and tell other people, like, ask your inner child. They know. They know the basic
Ooh,
carrot. Like maybe your adult self was like, I want to go drink a cocktail on the beach in Santorini so I could take a picture and that's what I want. Okay, maybe that's what adult you want, but
yes.
maybe you
And is
want to do
that
something
even
totally
really
different.
what you want? Or is it that that's what you
Yes.
think you want because you saw someone else doing that on Instagram because everybody's hashtagging Santorini and because that's what you think you're supposed to do to be, to fit in. Again, it's constantly that desire to fit in and to be doing what everyone else is doing. I'm always so,
Mhm.
I don't know. I think maybe I'm drawn to people that are like the total opposite of that. Like people who are like,
Mhm.
they just go with the wind and they're just like, nah, F what everyone else is doing. Like, I don't care if everybody, like, quirky, weird people that just kind of dance to the beat of their own drum. Those are the people that I'm
Mhm.
starting to be way more like gravitating to them. Because when I was growing up, I would be like, oh, she's a weirdo. Oh, look at her.
Mhm.
And now I'm like, oh, that's my friend. I want to be friends with her.
Yeah.
She's doing her own thing. She's doing her own thing. Like, I like that.
Yes.
And it's funny.
Yes, because you know that they figured it
Yeah,
out.
because as a
Like
kid, you get made fun of for being that weirdo. But as an adult, that is how you find your happiness. That's how you get in your jam because you don't care what everyone around you is doing. You found the thing that makes you you. And I don't know, I'm constantly
exactly.
looking for people that are like that more in my life now than ever before because I feel like that's authenticity. That's
Yes.
you are your true self. And that's the only way to really be happy, whether you have enough money or not. The financial aspect of life is so important, but it's not everything. And I feel like
Mhm.
that authenticity underneath everything is probably what makes me more happy than having my financial ish together.
Exactly, exactly. And then when you find that core, right? Like you find the like, hold up, this is actually what I want. Not
Yes.
what internet me wants, not what Instagram me wants. What I want. What I found is like, especially meeting my partner who's super minimalistic, very, very simple. Like he's very much about like the biffle life, like buy it for life
Mhm.
community of things. And I was like, what? I'm over here with my fast fashion and my fast food. He's
Yes.
like, no, invest, calm down. I like was able to pare down to what is really important to me.
Mm.
And the things that are important to me are hella cheaper than the things that used to be important to me. So like when I got down to the core of what I want, I was like, oh my God, she's cheap.
Yes.
Yes. She's
Simple.
down
She's
for a budget.
Mhm.
She's simple.
Mhm.
Exactly. And like there are so many things that there's so much noise in the world of what we're supposed to want. And the thing is that noise is expensive and is mostly driven by capitalism. It's mostly driven by somebody who wants your dollars.
Yes.
And so it's to your emotional advantage and your financial advantage to sit back and be like, hold on, do I care? For real though, do I actually care? Like when it's me laying in my bed at night, just me and my thoughts, do I care about Santorini? Do I care about Louis Vuitton bags? Like you'll find that the sort of like airheaded cloud self that's like, I want these things. She's expensive a lot of the time
Um,
because she's been taught to want things
yes.
that fit into capitalism.
Yes.
And the things in my core that I'm like, actually, I really love that. It's like nature.
Yes.
It's a nap.
Ah.
It is game night on the internet for free.
Mhm.
Like she's cheap. She's way cheap on the inside. And I like want to, I like hang on to her because she just keeps my life so much cheaper.
Yeah. And also just embrace her because that's your true self. Like just
Yes.
that's the thing that actually makes you happy. I mean, I think it's hard to find, which is why like I want to talk about Joelle a little bit because I was so like I met Joelle through you and I was just like, I don't understand. My brain does not register how someone so young so young, 2 years out of college, and this girl has her ish together. For those of you guys listening or watching who don't know who the heck Joelle is, so Joelle works with Berna, and she's a social media strategy for her, and she does a lot of like the support. She pretty much like came up with hella helpful stuff from one day to the next, visuals, the website. I mean, this girl is talented, but also has her financial life together. This girl she had like, I think it was almost like $70,000 of student loan debt, and now only has like 30,000 left. Like she's smashing her debt, has her budget like on point. She's like using her app every day. Like for somebody who in their early 20s who just graduated college 2 years ago to have all their ish together like that, I was just like, I'm so in awe. I don't understand how that happens. How did you find her? Like,
oh my God. I wish I could just clone all the Joelles. And the wonderful thing to come out of Hella Helpful is I was able to like put Joelle more on a platform and be like, she's running this shit, like the Eventbrite, the Zoom stuff, all the technical stuff. And she like, we both alongside each other, like taught ourselves and learned all this stuff together. We're both like, I don't know what we're doing. We'll figure it out. And she was the backbone of all that education. She found me. So she came to me. It was a total cold pitch. Yeah. And the great thing is that like Joelle, if you ask her, she's done webinars on this. She's done like online content of how she made up her own job and pitched herself to like basically pitch the job that she wanted for the people she wanted to work for.
I love that.
She has a whole, literally she would do a whole, I think she would be amazing on the show to talk about this because she just popped up in my inbox one day. I think she graduated like May 2018. And like that following fall, she had emailed me and she was like, hey, what's up? Like, I love what you do. I found you. I think she might have found me on Instagram. She's like, I love what you do. I'm really interested in social strategy. Can I help you? And at the time I was like, you know what? I love this, but I'm not prepared in my business to hire anybody. So keep going though. And then a few months later when I was like, actually, I really do need some back end help, especially with social strategy, I reached back out to her because she was top of mind. Because she reached out, she shot her shot basically. And even though I didn't have the opportunity at the time, I eventually did. And so I reached out to her and I was like, are you still available? Because actually things have grown and I need help. And she was like, yes, I am.
That's awesome.
And then what makes our working relationship so good is that she's a lot calmer than me. You probably notice this in like talking with Joelle and interacting with her. She's a lot calmer than me. She's more organized. She's oftentimes like, even though she's younger than me and she is like, you know, she works on my team, she's the one that's like, Berna, relax. Berna, they're fine. They don't need that. Do you think I should remind them? You think they need 3 more email reminders? Maybe I should post my story. They'll figure it out, Berna. They're adults. Her like tagline for me is, they'll be fine.
Yeah.
They'll be okay. I'm like, you're right. So not only does she like, she's always down to learn about new things with me. I'm like, what is this webinar thing? Let's figure it out. She's like, all right, bet, let's go. But she also like the working relationship is like very common. And I loved her work so much that I had a friend, Nadia de Allah. She is this, she's a leadership coach for women of color. She was saying to me one day, like, man, I really wish I had help with my social media strategy. Someone who could just take the reins and run. And I was like, I happen to know a woman named Joelle. And so now they work together and Nadia became Joelle's second client.
That's awesome.
And now since Hella Helpful, I had so many people be like, is Joelle hiring?
Yes, seriously.
Does she want more clients?
Right.
But she built that herself. Like she has a full-time job in marketing and does this as a side hustle. And she made it up herself, just presented herself like, here are my skills. Can I help you? And has stayed flexible the entire time. So she's a gem.
I love that. It's crazy how just serendipitous these things are, like how you meet people. I mean, like they were just cold, like she just sent that cold note out to you. She never knew if you were going to respond or not. I love that. And I think it's so important to do stuff like that. But sometimes you just, either you need the guts, you need the confidence, you need a network. Like, you know, she found you online. That's like, there's so many pieces to it. But I love hearing stories like that. Cause I'm like, there's so many people out there listening that are probably like, I want to do this thing and I can't because whatever reason. Doesn't matter. Just do it. Like Joelle wanted to do it. She just did it. Like she literally just did it. She just said, I'm just going to throw this out there. And if she hires me, I'll figure it out as I go. And that's, so many people do that. Yet there's this whole group of people, like myself included, who doesn't even realize that that's a way you could be successful. Like you could just fake it till you make it. And then like when you make it, you figure it out and you keep making it. Like that is literally how people do things. And more recently, I've started to realize, like, open my eyes to that. I'm like, oh, okay, I need to get on that boat. I need to get on that team because that's so, it makes so much sense.
It does. And what really resonated with me too is like, and I think what's really valuable in mine and Julie's relationship is that like she's figuring out as she goes, and she approached me, bless her, thinking that I have my shit together. I don't. You know what I mean? She approached me being like, I don't know where I fit inside of your like capital social media mecca, but if you need my job, I'm like, you don't know.
Social media, what?
It's a castle in the front and it's cardboard me struggling naked in the back. So
Oh
like,
my
yes,
God.
I need your help. Are you kidding? So, if anyone is out there listening to this and watching this and thinking like, I could never approach Janelle, she has her shit together. She doesn't need help from me.
Mm.
Creators like us can use all the help we can get.
That's so true.
All the help we can get. Like our job is to make it look like we have our stuff together. And if you think that, then great, we're doing our job, but it doesn't mean we don't need help with that job. So when she came in, I think she was surprised at the like, oh, you don't have a system for this? Wait, this isn't actually as consistent as I think. You're just making this up. And I'm like, yes, Joelle, just making it up. Help me.
Yeah.
And so we're out there. We need your help.
You're so right.
No one's reached out.
It's so funny. I've been doing a bunch of calls, and even like, now with Corona and everything, all the calls are on Zoom. And I'll get on these Zoom calls. People are like, God, you have your ish together, girl. Your kitchen is so clean. Your house. I'm like, first of all, it looks clean. It looks clean. If I pick this computer so of course, me being all dramatic, I picked up my computer and cut off the audio. But the point was, there are dirty dishes in that sink, and I don't have all my ish together. I have like random stuff on my couch right now. You can't see it because I make it look pretty. But the point is, everybody looks like they have their ish together, but people have a lot going on behind the scenes. And if you see someone that inspires you or that makes you feel like, wow, I want to work with them, shoot your shot. Like, why be intimidated when the worst thing that can happen is they say, actually, I don't really need help right now, but I'll keep you in mind. Okay, big deal. So at least now they know who you are. Like, it's really not a big deal. And I think more people need to do this, especially young people who are like, tend to be a little bit more intimidated because they don't really know how things work yet until they get more experience under their belt. But anyway, I just wanted to bring up Jolie because I thought she was amazing. But I do want to talk about actually so Berna and me, we actually met at FinCon, which for those of you guys out there listening or watching who don't know what FinCon is, it's a financial influencer conference that happens every year. And it was my second year to FinCon when I met you. It was your first time there, right? This was your first FinCon in 2019. And I don't know, I was like, I didn't know what to expect when I first got there. And then I realized very quickly that as amazing as it is a space, it's one of the spaces where it's one of those like conferences where people of color create like their like own separate small meeting in there, because if they don't, it's not there's no space for them, and it also just feels like everyone's very disparate. So basically, as when I got there, I saw like there were people of color, like the Latino group and like the Black group, and everybody was kind of like grouping together. And I was like, wow, that what that means is that when it started, there were none. There were like maybe 3 people of color, and they had to find each other. And so that has stuck. Like, it's always been that thing. And so I recognize that a lot of times there are many conferences, not just FinCon, but I just always operate with that awareness that like sometimes it's not a comfortable space for first generation, low income people of color. And I find that like it's hard to like navigate those spaces. You literally, it was your first year, you threw yourself in there with a bang. You talking to Ramit about the pasta and all. And I was like, Berna is literally like, you just threw yourself right in. I was like, how does Berna, like, how did you do? It's your first year. You didn't know what to expect. Obviously, it wasn't a space that was like meant for, necessarily your identity, but you made it work for you, for us. And I think you did a lot. Like, you met a lot of people. You were like leading a panel. You were in there. And I was just like, wow, I got to meet this girl. I got to talk to her because first of all, your energy is infectious. And, I feel like our energies would be like, bam. But at the same time, they were. But at the same time, I was like, I'm so inspired by this like commitment to coming here and getting the most from this conference regardless. And so, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Talk to me about how it was being at FinCon for the first time ever, and how you navigated the space.
Of course. It's because it was my first time ever. I think that's that very special sort of element of like, I can't know what to expect. I don't know what to expect. I can't know what to expect. Everything will be the first for me. Everything's fresh. And so I really knowing that beforehand, I took advantage of that and just like emptied out all my expectations. And was just like, it doesn't matter like how I show up in this space necessarily. I mean, it does matter in a way, but also I don't have to be super self-conscious of how I show up in the space because I don't even know what the space is. Yeah. And so when I don't know about a space, or when I have like assumptions about a space, I don't really know. When I know it's a space where like my presence will matter, but I also don't know how to act in that space, the only way I know how to come is just be myself. And I really kind of counseled myself. I had to check in with myself right before FinCon and go, okay, Berna, like, I know myself. I tend to be the kind of person that likes to assimilate inside of a space like that. like I'll be very chameleon. Like if I see that people are acting a certain way, talking a certain way, I'll be very quick to like try to be harmonious inside of that space. But then I also knew and could tell from afar, and probably lots of folks of color could tell too. I was like, I'm just going to venture a guess that there's not going to be a lot of us there.
Yeah.
There's not going to be a lot of people of color there, not going to be a lot of women of color there. And so the only way I've known how to operate in those spaces, because so many of us have operated in so many of those spaces. I was in publishing, I was in the camp youth world, like all white.
Yeah.
I only know how to be myself. And kind of the more myself I am, the sort of more, almost like the more noise I make, the more that the same effect happens where people look at me and they're like, oh, she's interesting. Also, she's brown. Huh, that's interesting. Also, she's funny and brown. Also, she's smart and brown. And so knowing that like our presence at FinCon is loud enough in and of itself.
Yeah.
Like I just knew that I had to like just bring as much of me as I could to the space because it probably doesn't exist in the first place. And also like, again, it's that like I have nothing to lose element because I was there for the first time. So even if I came there and made an ass of myself in front of me, which I did, and like who cares? I didn't know what to expect. I have no excuse of having to know better or act better. I just sort of rode that. And that was really fun, but it also was like exactly like what we talked about when we were at FinCon. It was really impactful for me to see the exact same phenomenon you were just talking about of just like, okay, we got panels, we got people, we got discussions, but I look around the room. I look around the room and I can see the exact same phenomenon that we always see as people of color in the room. I'm the only one. I'm the only one in my row. I'm the only one in this panel. Okay. I got to go find my people. Same exact phenomenon happened. And I was like, I kind of saw this coming. And so finding you actually having like our 2.5 hour long conversation out on the patio.
It was supposed to be like a 10-minute. We were supposed to link up for 10 minutes and chat real quick and then go to the next session. We were out there for 3 hours legit. Like it was crazy.
Because to me, that was the most impactful thing. You are an incredible video creator, also a woman, also a person of color, speak for first gen. And so I was like, if I'm going to get value out of anybody here who's like in my lane of personal finance, it's people like Nanelli. So I'm just so grateful.
Yeah. You're so crazy. No, I mean, I hear you, girl. I feel like I'm so glad we found each other, that we made that space. That conversation was so helpful for me just to know, like, I ain't the only one struggling, dealing with this, trying to figure this all out. And like, she gets me, you get me, and you understand from my perspective, which I think is like it's hard to find clarity in that way. So it is definitely super, super helpful. And I feel like in general, that's what this is all about. Like, that's why I love your platform. I love that you are just so different, calling yourself a financial hype woman, creating the content in such a silly way, such an open way, fun way, just an approachable way, because that's just the way regular people act. So why are we not acting like that when we start talking about money? Big deal. We're talking about money, but let's still be normal. Like, the fact that when we start talking about money is when we start acting all weird and using all this fancy terminology. Like that's when you close the door for people regular people to feel like, oh, that ain't for me. Oh, that door is closed. Oh, I'm not supposed to go in there. That's not my type of place. And it is everybody's place. So we have to make it sound like everybody's place. So I don't know. I love what you're doing. I have
Thank you.
2 more questions for you, because otherwise we could talk for 3 hours all over again. But okay, so I like to wrap up the show with this question about your money mantra or your money message that you would like to impart on people. And the way I've been doing it is I create these dollars in Photoshop, put your face on there, put your money motto over it. And so that way it's like this idea that like everybody who touches money, who transacts with money, who sees dollars is going to see this message. So what would your money message for everybody be?
Oh my gosh. It's so funny, actually. What I'm gonna pick actually is something that I put up on a Post-it this morning, because I've been thinking a lot about, like, after making Hella Helpful and creating this amazing like playground basically of financial influencers and education. After Hella Helpful, I kind of went into this dip of like, okay, now I gotta take this seriously. Oh no, like I gotta sponsors. Oh no, I gotta do the next one. Oh my God, I'm not getting paid. Like, what does this all mean? And it kind of sucked the fun out of Hella Helpful for me a little bit. And I had a really good session with my business coach this week. She really made me think of like, what is it that gets you motivated to do anything, to get your stuff together, to save money, to spend money smartly? For me, it's the idea of fun and play. Yeah. And I also personally, like, shout out to my therapist from Open Path Collective, who's a low cost organization that offers low cost therapy, found a therapist through that.
Ooh,
I feel
okay.
very, open path collective, very obsessed.
Love it.
But shout out to my therapist for helping me work with the idea that like I struggle a lot with giving myself permission for things, permission to be loud, permission to chill out, to rest, permission to be my own boss.
Mm,
And so putting those two things together, I was like, you know what's going to be a really powerful mantra for me these days is giving myself the permission to play. And so that's the phrase I think that I would put on a dollar is, you know, when we see dollars, we see money, we think about money, a lot of us get super tense because we bring with it all the tension of our families, our ancestors, our culture, our
yep.
history. We see a dollar and it's so loaded. And I think no one has ever really told us that you can be playful with the way that you mind your money. You can be playful and
Mm-hmm.
have fun and experiment with the way that you spend your money. That's what a budget is you're
Love
giving
it.
yourself rules on how to spend your money and be playful with it if you want. Name your bank account stupid shit. Make a
Yeah.
fund specifically just for Animal Crossing
Whatever.
friends, whatever.
Yes.
Like for me, play, the idea of play really activates something like it activates my carrot. The carrot like comes down from the ceiling when I think
Mm,
of the word play. So I want to give people who touch this dollar permission to play with a dollar, not take it so
yes.
seriously,
Love
and
it.
tell all that tension and the scariness to like have a seat for 2 seconds. Let
Yeah,
that
go away. Don't nobody want you here. That's right. I
Hey,
love it. I love that. Give yourself permission to play. And it's so true because if you don't do that, if you don't include fun money, play money, ratchet money in your budget, you're not going to be successful with it because you're going to get to
exactly.
the point where you're like, oh, I'm literally not having any fun. Why would I keep doing
Hmm.
this? You're going to
Exactly.
just, you're going to run away. It's like fight or flight. Like you're going to be like, oh, ew, this is horrible. I don't want this ever again. But if you have that little bit of money there for fun, for play,
Hmm.
it's going to allow you to continue to do this thing that's eventually going to give you the financial independence you need to be able to play all the time or whenever you want. But first you got to start small. So I love that.
Hmm.
Girl, put that all over your dollar bill. I love it. Cool. And then I know people out here listening are probably like, damn, Berna is hella inspiring. I'm from Brooklyn. We don't even use the word hella, but you got me saying hella now after hella helpful, hella inspired. They're going to be hella inspired. In Brooklyn,
Yeah.
we say mad. They're going to be mad
Matt.
inspired, girl. They're going to be mad
Hmm.
inspired by your story.
Hmm.
So if people out there listening are so inspired with the story that you shared, your money journey, everything that, you know, your mindset, the way that you approach life, which is just so playful, so authentic, how can they let you know that you've inspired them? Where can they contact you?
Yes. So you can find me all over the internet, like Nelly said in the beginning, at Hey Berna. Hey Berna on Instagram. Instagram is where I'm the most loud and the most obnoxious for sure. It's like my home base.
Yeah.
So at Hey Berna on Instagram for sure. Keep an eye on my stories because I'm always doing crazy ratchet stuff on my stories.
Yes.
And if you are interested in Hella Helpful, if you're interested in the next iteration of it and all the crazy stuff we're going to be doing in the future, hellahelpful.com, drop your email, and you'll get all the updates from there.
Yeah, you
Just
guys
see you on the
definitely.
internet.
Oh my God, you guys, I cannot talk enough about how Hella Helpful is such an amazing community. Yes, it was intended first with people of color, first generation, and low income folks in mind, but it is a community that will welcome one and all. Like everybody can come and learn from the community. And so I think that is what makes it a beautiful space. It is just so dope to see so many people come together and like this one story that somebody tells resonate with everybody else. And like just the conversation me and Berna had today, there was so much of that going on in Hella Helpful, and just
Mm-hmm.
people from all over coming together to share their expertise in different like different areas and content plays. Like people talking about travel, people talking about budgeting. I talked about saving. Cleo talked about combining finance and yoga. I mean, it was just, there
Mm-hmm.
was all of these beautiful different outlets and ways that people practice their financial love for, you know, in their lives, the way that they plan financially, the way that they think about money and the way they practice money. And it was just, it's a beautiful place. Go, if you haven't, to hellahelpful.com. Put your email in there. You'll get links to all of the different webinars that have already happened and any
Mm-hmm.
future iterations of Hella Helpful coming out, TBD. You'll also be able to
Mm-hmm.
stay tuned with what Hella Helpful becomes, evolves into. And I can't wait myself to see what that's going to be because I am going to be a part of it. I love Hella Helpful. I was just like, I have to. When I saw you post about it, I was like, I have to be part of this. Like, this is what like, this is what I needed. This is what I want to
Mm-hmm.
exist in the world. If you want something to exist in the world and it doesn't, you got to create it. So thank you for being that person who had it in your heart to do it and to make it happen. I'm just so glad that we did it, and we'll keep doing it.
Yes, absolutely. And I mean, I think I told you this in text, but y'all, like, I got feedback from Hella Helpful afterwards, And the amount of people that said by name, Yaneli was my favorite speaker. Yaneli dragged me within an inch of my life. Yaneli, like, Yaneli dragged us.
Yes.
Poor Phil.
I love that.
She made fun of me. She attacked me, and I'm changed because of it. Like, we are all so lucky to freaking know you. So that's why when you did Mind Your Money, I was like, same exact energy. I was like, I need to be a part of it.
Love it. No, it's true. You know what it is? If somebody comes from outside of the community and tries to attack us, we're not having that. We're not having that. But from within our own community, we can attach each other, because we have to attack each other, because we have to get on each other and hold ourselves and each other to high expectations. But don't come from outside the community trying to tell us, no, don't do. You can't do that. You're not allowed. Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
No, that's a privilege you do not have. That is for us.
Thank you. Us. You as us. Thank you so much, Berna. This was so much fun. I can't wait to share it, to post it, for everybody to see how amazing you are, and all of the way that you think and the way that you are. I can't wait for it to inspire people. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nelly. Such an honor.